Join UF Hall of Famer and 14-year NFL vet Shane Matthews every weekday as he brings you all you need to know about your Florida Gators, including news, analysis, and opinions with some of the biggest names in sports. Find us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts, or watch us live at 8 a.m. on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter.
Good morning. It's Tuesday edition, a live edition of PodUp with Matthews in the morning from the International Diamond Center Studios. Family owned and operated with the largest selection of natural diamond jewelry, the only diamond jewelry partner of the mighty Florida Gators. We'll have Buddy Martin from the Buddy Martin Show. Then we'll have Graham Hall from 24/7 Sports get his thoughts on media day. Practice starts in about 8 days. All that good stuff. There ain't a whole lot going on in the sports world right now other than Major League Baseball. And let's bring in the host of the Buddy Martin Show. You can listen to it on all your different podcast platforms. It's Monday through Thursday right now. I think when football cranks up, it'll be Monday through Friday around 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The one and the only Buddy Martin. What's up, buddy?
Thank you. Good morning to you, Shane, and congratulations. Last time I checked the numbers on last night's show with you and Freddie Weeby, we were almost at 50,000 hits. So it was a historic night for us last night. And good stuff talking about what's happened over there at Spurs Gridiron Grill, which is really an institution to itself, another subject. But I'll be over there this week emceeing a deal for Tony Barnhart. And then there's a big deal on Thursday night with Todd Golden's unveiling of his James Bates portrait, which I think will be great.
Yes, indeed. Real quick, let's talk golf. Obviously, we talked briefly with you about Scottie Scheffler. Just a normal human being. I just love his demeanor. I don't know if you saw this, buddy, but he had I don't know if it was before or after he'd won. They asked him like, where's his go-to grab some food, back where he lives in Texas. It's Chipotle. I don't know if you ever eaten at Chipotle. Buddy.
Oh, yeah, I've eaten Chipotle.
Yeah, it's very good. So he says there's two Chipotles because he lives near where SMU's campus is. He says there's two Chipotles in different directions of, within a few miles of his home. He says if he goes to one, he gets bombarded by people. If he goes to the other one, not one damn person knows who he is. I just think that's amazing.
Which is the way he likes it, I'm sure.
Absolutely. He goes to the one where nobody knows him. Trust me.
I saw a funny tweet this morning. Someone said this man was in jail, got out, and rejuvenated his life. And showed a picture of him being arrested in that phony, bogus arrest. And then they showed a picture of him with his putter on the green with his baby, which was great. Great photos there of him with his son. And he said, really all I got in my life I care about, and I will appreciate him digging deep, to be honest, and I do appreciate his integrity of honesty, is that my family and my faith, and I think he really means it. So golf, he says, I'm just happen to shoot a better score than other people. Doesn't mean I'm any better than anybody else. I just shoot better. So good for him.
He's damn good. Damn good. Speaking of that, we got a text here real quick in golf, and then we'll move on. This is from Larry. Larry says, buddy, I'm sure you've been around to cover Jack, Tiger, and now Scottie. In your opinion, who's the best?
It's funny that he said, I just wrote something out about that. And actually, I've been around since Arnie. And for you younger fans out there, you don't know, really what started this whole thing with golf was 1960, Cherry Hills Golf Club. Arnold Palmer drove number one green, par 4. He became Popeye, Superman, and golf began to take off with Frank Chirkinian on CBS. Our President Eisenhower, played the game a lot, and all of a sudden golf popped up on the screen, and Jack was ready to be ordained the king of golf. Arnie was, until 1962. And then a young guy named Nicklaus came along at age 22 at Oakmont, which is Arnie's own backyard, and beat him. There was a great run between Palmer and Nicklaus, with Nicklaus being the Tiger of his day, the Scottie of his day, whatever you want to call it. But there's been like 4 or 5 generations of great golfers since in my lifetime. I've been privileged to watch them all. I know Jack Nicklaus, spent many hours with Jack Nicklaus, loved Jack Nicklaus, loved Arnie, and didn't ever really know Tiger and don't know Scottie. But boy, I tell you, it's in good hands. I thought he is something special to behold. And someone said, Shane, yet he didn't have one signature shot of all of his wins. Do
Who
you think
cares?
he? No, I don't know. Someone brought it up. I don't care. I'm just saying. Can you think of one particular shot, which tells me he's just all around great, especially his iron game, phenomenal driving, the awkward. No one will ever emulate Scottie Scheffler because they
Mhm.
can't, because his swing is totally different than anybody I've ever seen.
I've never seen distance control the way he handles his
Mhm.
golf ball. It's crazy to me. Um, Josh from Wamama. You know where Wamama is, buddy?
Well, Mama, yeah, is that Northwest Florida,
No, I think it's down.
Sarasota.
Yeah, down that area.
Okay.
This is the
Oh,
Titan
I'm
Mark
thinking of
Dixon.
Weewa excuse me. Weewa
You
up
are
here.
Michigan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Buddy, what coach on Billy's staff would you give a raise to and why?
Wow. That's a great question. That is a great question. I'm not sure I would give anybody one yet, but Shane, I've concocted a scenario here by which Florida can get better. We're picking them at 8 wins, 8.5, 9 wins. I've began going over the details to find out how to get another win and a half out of it. And little details would be there. And I'm a big Billy Gonzalez fan. I know that Jaluk just got a big raise. I don't know right now. I can think of anybody until know a little more about the makeup. I can't think of anybody I would say deserves a raise at this point in time or what they're getting. Do you, Shane?
I mean, I don't even know who's paid what.
Mm-hmm.
I think Jaluk does a phenomenal job
Mm-hmm.
preparing his running backs.
Yeah.
I think he's a tremendous recruiter from what I've been heard.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd probably lean that way. But again,
He
I
just
don't
got a
know
big raise. He got like a
who he
big,
did.
huge raise. Yeah.
Like I said, I don't even know what
If it
the
weren't for that, I'd say Jaluk because what he's done with the running backs. The running back room is phenomenal. It's one of the little points I'm going to make today if we have time about where to pick up the extra win and a half. And it's details. Like this running back room is really special.
Here's a text from All Things UF on the Titan MR text line. He says, Shane, we believe the nine conference SEC, wait,
Hmm.
we believe the nine game SEC conference, CFP going to 14 or 16 teams, and the CFP format all hinges on whether or not the mouse, Disney, is willing to pony up what the SEC wants for the additional ninth conference game. The Big 18, I don't know if you know what that means, has publicly said they approve the SEC preferred college football playoff format of the 5-11 if they move to nine conference games. Your thoughts?
What's a lot
Um,
of them there?
there's a lot of information there. All I care about is when they increase the playoffs, I'm a 5-11 believer. I'm all for the 5-11. I think you take your Power Four conference champs, they all get an automatic bid, one group of five, and the other 11 are your best teams. I don't give a damn where they come from. I don't
Hmm.
care if all 11 of them are from the Big
Right.
12. I don't
Okay.
care if all 11 of them from the Big 10 or all 11 from the SEC.
Hmm.
Do it that way.
I'm going to go defer it back to my plan of 30 years ago. Okay. I said it then, I'm saying it now. I'm repeating it over and over again. I know ad nauseum, but to me, this is always going to come. It's going to have to be pared down to where it's manageable. And I said at that time, probably 60 teams, whatever, didn't know exactly, and play like the NFL. And that's what they're doing. And right now, it's 70% of all games watched on college television last year were Big Ten and SEC. Well, I mean, should they get a bigger piece of the pie? They're bringing their revenue in. If I'm Lady Gaga and I'm drawing 80 million and you're Shane Matthews drawing $5, who gets the lion's share of the gate, you know? So I think we're seeing that come about. I don't know if it's the best thing for college football anymore, but that's what I saw. That's what I see. I'm a little concerned about the state of things, but we'll see.
All right. Here's another text. Buddy, you get some good texts on just different subjects.
I
This one's
do. I do.
William. William wants to know, buddy, your thoughts on the WNBA and the t-shirts they wore the other night.
Well, I don't know. I guess, what did they say? Pay me? Is that what it was?
Pay me what we deserve or
Yeah.
something along
I
those
mean, what they
lines.
deserve is to treat their star player better.
Well, they deserve what they're getting because nobody watches it. The entire league has never made money, and they have a superstar now that they don't realize how great she is.
Yeah, there's this picture right there. Yeah, she is phenomenal. I don't understand the mentality of the players who said we don't like this girl from Iowa. She's hogging the spotlight. She's jacked up your salary times 10. She made you relevant. Why would you want to take your meal ticket out? I mean, I don't get that at all.
Jealousy, jealousy, buddy. It's all jealousy.
Well, then it's going to be felt in your pocketbook because she's the one bringing the cash register.
The shirt said, "Pay us what you owe us."
Right, right. Well,
Oh,
what
yeah,
they owe.
damn thing.
I know we shouldn't go there, but I do think they do. There is some balance going on in women's sports. Hey, look, DJ Lagway gave money to women's sports in Florida the other day.
Yep. No
So,
doubt.
hey, by the way, can I read this real fast about best tweet? Uh, this is pretty good. You alluded to it last night, so I don't know who said it. Florida just won the national championship in basketball. Had a player arrested this week, and there's a dual threat quarterback who talks about Jesus. The Gators might be back.
Very true. Speaking of that, when Urban Meyer wanted to introduce his high quality tequila to the Gator Nation, he made sure to get it to the HBC and his team at Spurs, Gridiron Grill, and Dorn's Liquors. Go Beyond was smooth Los Landeros tequila.
Hmm.
Here's a text on the Titan Mark text line from George. He says, buddy, are you surprised? And I do not understand it. And we talked about this a bunch yesterday, I think. How did DJ Lagway not be on any of the first team, second team, or third
Yeah,
team All SEC teams?
yeah. I
Were
mean,
you surprised?
yeah, but no. And
I'm not
here's
surprised at all.
here's the reason why. Take everything, and I wrote about this morning in my column on Gator Bait. Those who care about going up and checking it out, GatorBait.com. And that is that everything you said, everything the media said about the rankings and ratings in SEC media days, forget about it. They don't know what they're talking about. Why do I know that? Because I'm one of them. I don't know what I'm talking about. I just don't know. By the way, can we just get this in? Happy birthday to Billy Napier today,
That was
46.
yesterday. Yesterday.
All right, full I'm sorry. I'm just getting the news here. Mine comes late, depending on my city. But
Yeah.
46 years old. Sorry. Yeah, so no, I'm not really, I guess I'm not surprised or I'm not shocked. I knew they'd get it wrong because they don't really know, Shane. What do they know that we don't know?
Well, obviously they only vote for three teams, I guess. Lenore Sellers was first. I would not have put him first on my ballot. Gary
Based on
McIntyre.
what?
Well, he had a good year
No,
last
no,
year.
no, no. But he did had a good year, not a
Yeah.
great year.
Yeah.
Okay.
Again, to me, he reminds me, he's built exactly like Anthony Richardson. They're kind of the same type of guy. I think
Mhm.
Lenore Sellers has had a better year than Anthony ever had at Florida to this point. Um, so I mean, time will tell. But like I said on my show yesterday, I guess it was yesterday because it's Tuesday. I was like, why does anybody care whether DJ
Because it's
is on the
what
first
fans
team,
do.
second team, or third team?
Yeah.
Let's just go play games and win games, and then everything
Yeah.
will work itself out, right?
Yeah. I addressed this with Freddie Weeby last night and I talked about it. When you go to eat a good meal at like Spur's Ground Grill, you think, oh, I'm going to have this, I'm going to have the pork chops, what you like. Yeah, the anticipation of going to eat is a big part of it. Man, I can't wait to get that steak. And when it tastes good, it feels great. So you anticipate it, and anticipation is part of what Gator fans do. They are, in fact, anticipating this season like none other in a long period of time. Guard against letdown, guard against false expectations, and be prepared to say they might not win 9 games. Okay, that's kind of goes with the territory. But I sure like the outlook, and I love the team. I really love. Did you read what DJ said? I'm talking about the flow state.
The flow state?
The flow state.
I
That's
don't know
what
what
he
that means.
calls it when he gets into his mode or in the groove.
Oh.
And Billy says he goes into that mode. It's almost like a Marvel comic book character. And when he gets competitive on the field, he becomes this other person with a different look in his eye and everything else. And I said, as I said in the column, I mean, this guy's 6'3", 240 or so, and he's built like a tight end, and he's motivated and he's talented. I mean, when that guy gets it ramped up, who knows what he can do? We haven't seen him yet when he's well. So it's amazing. So yeah, I don't know. I want to say in here except to say you anticipate it, and certainly we got a reason to anticipate it. I like the quarterback Florida Scott. I don't know who I'd take over him. I'm not sure. You know, Arch Manning, I love Arch Manning, what he stands for and who he is, and he's the prototypical quarterback. But if you look at him, when he was last year, look, he was in high school last year. I mean, he would look like he was kind of small and frail and whatever.
He's like
But
6'4", 225, buddy.
no, but I said last year. Look at the picture of him and tell me that you don't think he looks a little frail.
I walked by him during pregame warm. I was like, I thought he was bigger than his uncle. He's bigger than
Well,
his uncles were.
maybe it's his baby face. I don't know.
That's
Whatever
probably
it
what
is.
it is, and his
Yeah,
haircut.
yeah, it could be.
This day in sports brought to you by Campus USA Credit Union. Put some star power to work in your financial life. Campus USA Credit Union. It's where old Stephen Orr Spurrier banks. 2001 British Open, Royal Lytham and St. Anne's. David Duval wins his only major title by 3
Hmm.
shots over Nicholas Faths.
Yeah, I forgot that. Yeah.
That's this day in sports brought to you by Campus USA.
Hey, Shane, on that note, can I just tell you, I have held the claret jug. I have a photo
Did you
with the
drink out
claret
of
jug.
it?
You could, I didn't. It was brought to Castle Pines Golf Club, where David Duval was playing out of at the time.
Hmm.
So you get to take your, and he brought it out to the club and left it there for a week, sitting in the pro shop. And yeah, that's amazing. I picked it, looked at it, read the names on it. It is maybe the most iconic trophy, in my opinion, in sports.
Buddy, let
No,
me ask you this. I'm just curious because Xander Schauffele had to bring his trophy back because you get it for a year, you
yeah,
bring it
yeah,
back.
right.
They give you like a replica to put in your house?
No, you take the original trophy.
No, I know that, but come on, they have to have
Oh,
like
I don't
some
know about that.
replica
I can't tell you,
for you to
but
keep for the rest of your
I
life.
don't know about that because there's only one cup.
Yeah.
I'm in the jug. I mean, I just think about it, holding it in your hand. I mean, I love the Heisman, I love the PGA America, there, whatever. But to me, the most iconic trophy cup in all of sports is not even the Heisman; it's the claret jug.
You think
Because
Claret
it's
Jug over the Stanley Cup?
absolutely kidding me, of course. By far, 146 years is a long time. So
It is.
yeah, I would take it over there. So yeah, it's amazing. So I mean, I love the history of the thing. I love what it's. Shane, can I tell you about a cartoon real fast? It's not political. Sometimes you get tired of having to deal with these things. There's a terrific cartoon I saw this morning. It's Peanuts and Charlie Brown, and here he is. He's holding a message from his bank. He said, would you kindly fix the road I was already taxed to fix so I'm not causing damage to the car I am taxed annually to drive, which I purchased with the income you already taxed, which sits in the driveway of my home that is highly taxed. It's not a political statement. I just thought that was really beautiful. Sometimes you wonder what they did. And then somebody wrote, that's way too much to ask. Besides, Ukraine and Israel need some money. So
Hmm.
I thought that was funny.
Andy on Facebook Live says, Buddy, do you think Lagway is a 4-year guy at Florida?
Don't know about four.
Well, he can't, he has to be here 3.
I know about four. I said, yeah, he's definitely three. He said, he could be because he's got a kid, but you know, what are you going to do if they weigh $25 million in front of your face? I mean, I would say probably, unless he could get hurt again. I don't know. But I'd say probably not.
Yeah, time will tell on that. Text on the Titan Mark text line from Fred says, Buddy, didn't you at one time work with CBS NFL football?
I did. I was on NFL Today. If you look right behind me here,
NFL Today with like Irv Cross and that whole crew?
no, it was Terry Bradshaw. It was their first year. Musburger just got fired. It was Greg Gumbel, Terry Bradshaw, Leslie Visser, and Pat O'Brien. And I was a regular. I was a contributor. Look behind my shoulder right there. That's an
Yeah.
Emmy. See that right there?
Uh-huh.
That's the Emmy that I got for working there. Now, whether I deserved it or not, I don't know, but I got one, okay, and working there. And it was a tremendous 3 years. I was working primarily with Terry Bradshaw, his producer, whatever. And I would make 23 trips a year from Denver to New York and stay at great hotels, and expense account, etc. And I did that for 3 years. It was sometimes really tiring, especially those Sunday afternoons, 12 hours, but it was magnificent. I really enjoyed my time there. And then Fox got the package. They moved out to LA, and that was the end of that. But no, I did work for them. It was wonderful. You know what I did, Shane? I went
What's
for a
that?
walk one day and I was working in Jacksonville and says, I'm going to quit my job. What do I want to do? I've never done. I thought, I've never worked in TV. I never worked in network TV. I picked up the phone and called Bradshaw. He said, great, call Teddy Shaker. I called Teddy Shaker and I got hired as a editorial consultant on there and I had a great time.
Very cool. Good stuff there for sure. How's Bradshaw's health doing these days?
He seems pretty good. I mean, you hear a lot of things about his cancer. He's had it several times. He's built a new home in Texas, northern Texas, and he's got millions of dollars of quarter horses. He sold some. I mean, look, he's been
Has
doing
he
this a
named a
long
horse
time.
after you?
No, he never named one after me. No, he never did. No. Yeah, he named one. It's called Loser.
Oh, come on.
Hey
Yeah.
Shane, let me ask you a question. We're running out of time, if I may. If I'm butting in, tell me butt out. But you picked Florida at 8.5 or 9 wins. Is that what you did?
I have not picked anything
Okay.
because I have not been great the last few years.
No,
However,
I had
I
none.
did pick us to win 8 games last year.
No, okay.
Um, as I told you, the entire season comes
Mhm.
down to the LSU, Miami, Texas, and Texas A&M
Mhm.
games to me.
Okay.
I think those 4 games are critical. And the worst case scenario, and I'm hoping it's the worst case scenario, would be 2-2. I'm hoping 3-1 or 4-0, obviously, but it has to be worst case scenario 2-2, in my opinion.
Aren't you front loading everything a little bit?
No, I just think there's so much excitement, and obviously everybody thinks we're going to beat Long Island and South Florida, although South Florida can cause you some problems. I think they're a pretty good little team, but you got to start 2-0, and then that 4 game stretch is
Oh,
tough.
yeah.
I know the
Scorched.
back
I
end
call
we
it
have
scorched.
Georgia, we have Ole Miss,
Well, that's
whatever,
the other thing I
whatever.
was say. You got
But
at the end, you got Tennessee later this year, Georgia, and Ole Miss.
I,
So I think those are pretty significant games.
right, but I think everybody has such high expectations, and you want
Getting
to
off.
be, and I told you, success for this season would be for me is for us, we played Georgia when.
Well, midway through after the first six.
Okay.
There are two open dates this
That
year.
we are in the discussion
Hmm.
of being in the college football playoff
Okay.
going into the
But
Georgia game.
okay. Well, I think they will be.
Well, I hope
Let's
so.
see.
I mean,
I think they will be.
but we
But
have to win at least 2 of those games is my point.
well, how do you do that? What do you think they have to improve to get those
Well, we
nine?
don't we don't know. I mean, look, LSU, Chris Dorian picked them to win the national title.
I know he's full of
Yeah.
baloney.
Well, I think this has a chance to be Brian
Oh,
Kelly's best team.
oh,
But
good.
it's
That means
LSU at
nine
Tiger
wins,
Stadium.
maybe 8 wins, whatever.
Okay, but it's still LSU and Tiger Stadium at night.
Okay. Well, all right.
Then
So
you go
maybe you
to
lose them.
Miami, which I want to beat Miami,
Yeah,
but out of the 4 games, the other 3 are more important to me than
because
Miami.
it's not a conference game. I get it.
Correct. Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
All right, so can I just real quick go over, we'll talk about this all summer, the rest of the summer, but you can pick up a little bit here, a little bit there. Let me tell you a couple of places real quick. Here are things where I say they need to pick up a 1.5 win somewhere, which would put them at nine, whatever. And so if you say, okay, let's assign a value to if you can get defensive stops, right? We talked about it. Let's say 3 or 4 defensive stops a game, or even 2. That's worth about a half a game, I would say, okay, for them. Here's a problem we're forgetting about. The kicking game and special teams, the kicking game with Trey Smack is really good. And this new punter out from Michigan, I don't know about him yet. We'll find out. But their kicking game has been exceptional. So give them, if they don't make mistakes on the special teams, that could be worth a half of a win right there. There's that one thing. The running back room with Jaden Bud, Jacoby Jackson, man, and the offensive line, that's worth at least 0.3 in there. So if you pick those things up and you don't turn it over. So I see some places. And of course, the interceptions, now, Shane, he had 9 last year. Was that too many?
I don't really care. Sometimes I don't care about interceptions. It depends on how you throw them and when you throw them. I mean, I threw a bunch of interceptions at the end of halves, right? You look at the stats, hell,
Trying to get one in the end zone.
probably 10 or 12 of them, right? Because we just
Okay.
throw it down there. Nowadays,
Okay.
they don't really do that. So, but to what you just said, talking about the defense getting a couple of stops, whatever, agree. But we all think the offense is going to be outstanding, but there are going to be times when we go 3 and out, right?
Yeah.
Because the other team has some pretty good players. They get their
Yeah.
coach, they have scholarship athletes. So it's a team effort, and the ball's got to bounce your way. A lot of
Yeah.
good things have to
Of
happen
course.
if you have a magical year.
Yeah. Well, I do think that, and I'm tired of hearing, well, if he has to get hurt, he got to be healthy. Everybody's got that. Lenore Stellers has got to be healthy in South Carolina, et cetera, et cetera. That's part of what goes along. But this is a really good running football team with 4 returning stars on the offensive line and some outstanding backs and a really outstanding wide receivers and a quarterback that I love. So what's not to like about a team? If you can control the running game, and everything they do, Shane, is built around the running game. You know that because you can't have play action if you can't what? Run the football. They've got to run the football, and they will be able to run the football.
I agree. Kevin on the Tatum, our text line, says, do you guys know that Caitlin makes $78,000 a year? Yeah, I mentioned that yesterday, but she makes $30 million in
On her
endorsements.
merchandise, yeah. I don't think she's too worried about the money part.
No, everybody's jealous of her for sure. All right, buddy, who you got on the program tonight?
Well, it's Lauren Menace tonight. He's got Rob Brown and the team. They'll be bringing you some good stuff tonight. They'll keep you up to date on the. Because I started looking at the roster. Do they still have walk-ons, Shane?
They do right now.
33 I heard the other day. They still got it. When they have to get rid of them?
They're supposed to be getting rid of them here in the next year or two. I hope it never happens.
Yeah, that's too bad. I wonder how Chris Storing feels about that.
Yeah, but I mean, there's an all SEC first teamer, all American that plays for Texas, a defensive back that walked on at Texas.
Yeah. Well, Camarni
Michael Taft.
McLean is going to be a walk-on at Florida. They say he is chiseled.
Well,
I know he
that's
wasn't.
a different type of walk on.
Right, it is.
If Michael Taft walked in your house right now, buddy, you would think he's selling encyclopedias to you. One of those door-to-door guys.
He's an amazing guy.
He's a little white dude, but he is a damn good football player.
And a good-looking kid who talks great.
Yeah. All right, buddy. Have a good weekend.
Thank you, Shane.
And we'll talk to you next week, my man.
All right, my man. Thank you.
That's Buddy Martin. Join us on the Titan Tomorrow Hotline, courtesy of Comfort Temp. We'll take a quick time out. Come back. We'll be joined by Graham Hall from 24/7 Sports. Talk about Gator football, other Gator sports. You're watching and listening to PodUp Matthews in the Morning from the International Diamond Center Studios. We'll be right back.
Our premium sponsors are Campus USA Credit Union,
International Diamond Center,
Meldon Law, QC Kinetics, UF Health Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute, JF Hayden Craft Liqueurs, Florida Cracker Kitchen, Los Linderos Tequila. Gridiron sponsors are Baker Sporting Goods, Comfort Temp, Electronics World, Florida Victorious, Gallo Car Wash, Miapa Latin Cafe, Peachland Dental, Quality Plumbing, Ruse Ogre State Farm, Silverback Concrete, 84 Lumber, Big Mills Cheesesteak, Celebrate Primary Care, Dowling Sign, Gator Bait Media, Gator Dominoes, Ironwood Golf Course, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, UF Bookstores, Nest and Wow, MG&A Wealth Management. Watch and listen to us live on Facebook and YouTube. Listen to the podcast whenever on Apple or Google Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe so you don't miss an episode. To become a sponsor, call my man Freddie at 352-284-3733.
I'm tired of you living in pain, and I want you to get real lasting relief from chronic pain in your knees, back, shoulders, and hips. QC Kinetics can get you moving again with cutting-edge regenerative treatments with no drugs, no downtime, and no surgery. Stop putting it off. Call now and schedule your free consultation. Call QC Kinetics now in Gainesville, Ocala, and the Villages. 352-400-4550. 352-400-4550.
Oh, all the way from the North Pole. It's me, Santa Claus. Oh, I'm here with my friend Steve Spurrier for an amazing Christmas in July offer.
Spurrier's Gridiron gift cards are on sale for 20% off.
Coach, how do they get them?
You can go to spurriers.com and order a digital card or stop by my restaurant in Celebration Point and pick some up today.
Thanks for being my holiday helper in July, Coach. Hurry, this special Christmas in July offer is for this month only. Ho, ho, ho.
Welcome back to the International Diamond Center Studios. Florida Cracker is the brand for original Floridians. Great food and southern hospitality in the center of the universe, Brooksville, Florida. FloridaCracker.com. Back to the Titan MR Hotline. We're joined by a good friend of the program, does a tremendous job covering the Gators, Graham Hall. Good morning, Graham. Back from Ireland.
Yeah, it was a great time. It was a belated honeymoon. I'm grateful that she was patient and let us take it during the non-busy time of the year. It was really good. Got out of there right before all the crowd for the Open got in there. We were just in Southern Ireland, but it was beautiful. The weather was perfect. Shane and I were just talking about the food. I made a joke a while back that there's a reason that Ireland's known for their famine in a sense here. You can go better places to get food. You want to get some good food, go to Italy, but it was a great time.
You can drink a lot of beer there, though.
Night and day. I'm not a Guinness fan, and it's okay if it's the only beer available, but it is night and day in Ireland compared to America here. It was so much better in Ireland. I had so many Guinnesses and Beamish and Murphy Stouts, just night and day better. I was probably very surprised by that. I should have expected it, but it was much better than I anticipated.
Very cool. All right, Graham, let's talk about the Gators. I'm going to ask you this question too, because it's been a hot topic since the media boys voted first team, second team, third team. They're all SEC preseason teams. I asked Buddy about this. We talked about it yesterday with JC because I probably had 15 to 20 texts on the Titan MR text line regarding Gator fans upset that DJ wasn't on one of the three teams. And my thoughts are, who cares, right? Who cares? Most people that watch this program look at it from a Gator perspective, but the SEC media boys, they picked who they picked, and now we just got to go out and play games and worry about postseason awards.
Yeah, if you expect me to come in here as a media member and be like, oh, you should care about the media's opinion in the preseason about who you're going to pick to be the best quarterbacks, I'm not going to say that. It can matter to you and get you excited. You can look at Florida having twice the amount of players on the preseason all SEC teams and look at it from a collective perspective that people outside Gainesville are recognizing the depth that is within the Florida program, how much more talent is on the roster. But also you can be fair with yourself. DJ Lagway has been a starter in 7 games for Florida. He's as much of a prediction as Arch Manning is. And I know people don't want to hear that in Gainesville, but the masses haven't seen what he can do fully healthy and with a full season in front of him as the quarterback, with teams having to prepare for him and how he does. And there's also the question that everyone who's been following knows, how healthy is DJ Lagway going to be this year? When he was going through spring camp as a modified participant, and much of the conversation surrounding him has been on his availability this upcoming season, it maybe doesn't make a lot of sense for him to be picked as the 3rd best quarterback in the SEC when the narrative right now about him is, let's see if he can even play an entire season, stay healthy. And if he does that, he has a chance to be really good. I mean, if you get picked as a top 5 quarterback in the SEC in any given year, you're doing a whole heck of a lot right. CBS Sports picked him as the fifth best quarterback in the SEC. A lot of analysts out there have said that he is going to be a top 3 quarterback in the SEC. There's as many doubters out there about Arch Manning as there are about DJ Lagway. And I think you could even make an argument that some of the other quarterbacks in the SEC have been slept on more than DJ Lagway. He's getting a fair amount of hype and praise, but it maybe is just a little bit too soon for him to be declared by the masses as a top 3 quarterback in the SEC. Now, with all that said, even though I was not at SEC Media Days this year, we sent my colleague Zach Goodall, who did a great job. I picked DJ in my media ballot. I got to vote because I was credentialed. I picked him as the 3rd best quarterback in the SEC. I've said to you, Shane, that I don't really fully believe the Arch Manning hype yet. I'm willing to eat some crow and say that I was wrong if he comes out here and is fantastic. But, like the great Steve Spurrier said, if he's so good last year, why was he sitting behind Quinn Ewers? I need to see it to believe it before I say he's a top 3 quarterback in the SEC. I think that guys like Marcel Reed are being slept on. What he did last year as a freshman, came into Gainesville, very hard to prepare for. I think he's going to have a really good season. Like I said, there's a lot of quarterbacks out here who are not getting the respect that they deserve, and it's going to be really interesting to see it unfold. If you really want everything to be perfectly predicted for the upcoming football season here in July, there's no fun in that, in my opinion. Part of the excitement for college football is that there are surprises, guys who rise, disappointments as well. Let's see it all play out. Then we can look back and be like, oh, they thought he was going to be really good. He wasn't. Oh, the media slept on him. Look how good of a year he had. It's part of why we love college football. We don't want to predict it perfectly unless you're a professional sports bettor. Let's just see it all play out.
A question for you on Facebook Live brought to you by Meldon Law. When do we expect Gates back?
That's a good question. He had a really significant knee injury, not just tore his ACL, but had some other damage to, his MCL and his meniscus in there. And I was thinking initially that this would be a recovery season for him, but it sounds like, if you take Billy Napier's comments at face value, it sounds like he's ahead of where I would have anticipated he would be in his recovery. Obviously, I'm no doctor, so, take my words with a grain of salt. This is a guy that, according to Billy Napier, they do anticipate him being fully ready this upcoming season, because Napier said they don't anticipate having any health issues when they open fall camp here next week. So if that is the case and Aaron Gates is cleared to return, I think it's a fantastic story. We're going to highlight it just like we did Jack Pyburn's 6-month ACL recovery last year. If Aaron Gates is fully back and ready to contribute by the season opener, I think that's massive for Florida because they rotate consistently at the star nickelback position. Sharif Denson, I thought, did a really good job last year, but he's going to need someone with experience to be on the field and rotate in with him, and that was Gates last year. Josiah Davis is the 3rd man in the room at the star position, a guy who played a little bit last year, I think only appeared in 3 games as a freshman. And is he ready to step into a larger role? I don't really know. They didn't address the star position via the transfer portal this upcoming season. So if Gates is fully cleared to go, which would be awesome, we'll know more next week. That'd be huge for Florida's depth at the star position, a very difficult position to play. So I hope he's ready. It sounds like he is, but I haven't heard any specifics in the offseason about where he's at in his progress. Just based on what the head coach has said, it sounds like he's going to be a guy who's going to be out there when they open practice next week.
Barone71 on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing, says, not everything Spurrier says is gospel. Ewers was QB1 and that's it. Do people think Cam Newton stunk because he was behind Tebow? Do you think Joe Burrow stunk because he was behind 3 other top recruited QBs at Ohio State? I guess he's referring to the Manning comment. We'll see. I think Arch is, I've said this multiple times. He is 1,000 times more athletic and a better thrower than his 2 uncles. Now, we'll see how he plays from there. Graham, when you look at the season, I guess we're cranking up in 8 days, something like that?
Yep, they report a week from today, July 29th, and the first practice is July 30th.
Okay. Do you expect, and again, they're only going to let you out there for your 10-minute viewing period, right?
Stretching, yep.
Stretch. You get to watch them stretch. Do you think DJ is going to be cleared, like ripping and raring and let's go play or practice a normal practice? Do you still think he's on a pitch count?
I think he's still going to be on a pitch count. That's just my prediction. Um, it's a guy who still hasn't thrown a ton this year. He's throwing 3 times a week right now, 200 passes a week. I think that if you even go back to last year, that's where my prediction comes from. Go back to after the Miami game last year, where he was asked about where he was at the end of fall camp. He was acknowledging that he experienced some shoulder soreness by the end of fall camp, just from the workload and how much he was doing and how much he was working out on his own. They have to avoid that. It can't be a situation where come August 30th, even though he shouldn't have to play, no offense to Long Island, shouldn't have to play the entirety of the season opener. This is a guy that you can afford to manage his workload. The rewards outweigh the risks of making sure that he's not out there throwing every single pass. I also think that the other quarterbacks on the roster stand to benefit a little bit more from throwing during camp more than he does. Harrison Bailey, we'll see what strides he can continue to make in fall camp. I've heard that Florida would have liked him to be a little bit further along by the end of spring than he was, especially for a veteran guy. Aiden Warner's had a really good year. Give more snaps to him. And then you got Tramel Jones, a guy who really can benefit from fall camp, even though this is kind of be a development year for Jones. Let him take some elevated snaps in fall camp. I think he's going to be on a pitch count. I think that maybe they'll amplify what he does as fall camp progresses and we get closer in, but they don't really need to rush to get him ready. That season opener, he should be out there maybe throwing 10 times against Long Island. So I do think he should be on a pitch count. And with all that said, if he is, I would caution people not to, freak out a little bit. I think it makes a lot of sense why he would be. And I don't think it's indicative necessarily of long-term or season-long concern for him. They just got to be extremely careful with him, given how important he is to this team, protecting him during the season, protecting him in fall camp, even protecting him from the media when it comes to discussing his injuries has been kind of the MO for this Florida program for the past year. And I expect that to continue in fall camp. I'd be more surprised if we went out there and he's, throwing in abundance and taking all the first team snaps. I would be a little bit surprised by that, quite frankly.
I agree. The Pouncey Twins provide all of Gator Nation with the highest quality liqueurs made by J.F. Hayden Craft Liqueurs. Find your favorite flavors at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. A few more minutes with Graham Hall from 24/7 Sports. Text on the Titan Amara text line from Lane. I wonder if Lane Kiffin's listening. He says, Graham, in your opinion, what is the position strengths of this football team, and what is the weakness of the football team? I'm assuming something about position groups.
Yeah, I think offensive line's an easy one. 4 or 5 starters back from last year's team, and then Bryce Levitt, a guy who can play every position on the line, who started against Tulane in the bowl game. I think they have a chance to be the best offensive line in the SEC, if not the entire country, if all goes according to plan and they avoid injuries. I think wide receiver, there have been some questions in the media out there about how good is Florida's wide receiver unit going to be. You lose Chimere Dike, Elijah Badger, your top 2 pass catchers from last year. You got a lot of guys that are going to rely on to either make the transition to the SEC, like the freshman, or J. Michael Sturdivant coming over from UCLA, a place where he was really productive. He was productive at Cal as well. But, they're still new to the league. You're relying on them. You're relying on Dallas Wilson and, Vernell Brown III. And, I think that's actually going to be a strength of Florida's team. I think that the amount of athleticism they have is going to be really, really good. And they're going to be explosive and potent. So I think that those are 2 positions right there that make a ton of sense. In terms of concerns, I do think most of the concerns for me are on defense. Interior defensive line, you're going to be relying on Jamari Lyons and Mekhi Barrow there at nose tackle. You lost DeAndre Robinson in the offseason. There'll be a couple other guys that, if you're not familiar with the names of, Brian Taylor Jr. and Tavoris Brown, you should probably learn them because they're probably in for playing a rotational role this season, along the interior, just given how much they're going to look to rotate there. And given the depth concerns there, I think Brandon Bett is another one worth mentioning where you're going to see him used a lot this upcoming season. And then I'm going to also say cornerback because Devin Moore, I need to see him fully healthy this upcoming season. If he's fully healthy when he's on the field, he's really, really good. but they lost a lot of pieces there. Triquez Bridges, Jason Marshall Jr., two guys that were obviously really, really impressive last year and took a ton of snaps there in the secondary. They're going to have a battle between Cormani McClain and Dijon Johnson. And then you could also see Michael Caraway Jr., Ben Hanks, Onis Kanembani, Jabari Flowers, a couple freshmen there that are going to be used there. That's a position absolutely I'm intrigued to see how that all shakes out, because I do think that they could be in for a little bit of a drop off there at cornerback, especially losing the guys that I mentioned. So those are probably the areas of concern for me right now, or the positions I'm most intrigued to see how they shake out here in fall camp. But I do think that just top to bottom, this roster, I know this isn't what you asked, Lane, but I think this roster has just got more talent than it has during the Billy Napier era. I know that there's some depth concerns, but a lot of positions have really, really good depth. I like the depth at linebacker. I like the depth at offensive line, wide receiver. I like their running back room. I think that Duke Clark is going to be a guy that towards the end of the season we start seeing more of. I think Jaden Bond, Jacoby Jackson are a fantastic 1-2 punch. I think that there are more strengths on this team than there are potential weaknesses, and that absolutely bodes well.
Yeah, it's clearly the most talented team he's had. I'm so intrigued with the wide receivers because I love what they have there. The only concern I have going into the season, obviously, coming out of the spring game and watch them in the spring practice, especially the young guys, these dudes can score touchdowns throwing wide receiver screens, right? Or catching slants and going to the house. What DK and Badger did so well to me that I don't know if this crew can do it, is they shielded defenders and caught contested balls, if that makes any sense. Some guys don't have that ability. I'm hoping these guys do, but we got to see these guys catching these deep posts where they shield the defender off, go up and make a play. I think these guys can do it, but I thought Badger and DK did a phenomenal job last year doing that. Graham, a little recruiting news. The Gators seem to be doing pretty well. I don't know where we're ranked. Maybe you can tell us where we're ranked. But any news coming on the recruiting front?
Yeah, they're around 14th and 15th right now. They have a couple guys still in the pipeline that they're waiting on. Most of their targets remaining are going to wait to make a decision during this upcoming season, which, call me an old head or whatever, but I'm more for that because, as valuable as the summer recruiting window is, and it certainly was for Florida, picking up 17 commitments since between May and June, rising up the rankings. I think they're currently sitting around 14th or 13th in the rankings. I'll be quite honest with you. I should care about the recruiting rankings more, but this time of the year, if your season doesn't go well, it doesn't matter, right? I mean, you're going to lose guys, and guys are going to fall out of the class if you have adversity. So harping on a ranking right now in July, while it is important to you continuing to build and where you could shake out, you got to play the games, and that's going to determine who sticks. And if you can remain in contention for the targets that are out there, like I said, Braylon Womack is a big one on Florida's board. He's going to decide late in fall camp, I think around August 21st, a 5-star guy that a ton of programs are after. But then, you got to go play the games. And if you do that, and some of your rivals like Miami, Georgia, Florida State, if they slip up or you beat them, you're going to have a chance to poach some guys from their class. So, they're sitting at 18 right now. Numbers are getting tight. Maybe they add 6, 7 more to the roster, but numbers are getting tight here, certainly. So they've done the majority of the work. Now it comes to getting those guys to stick, going out there and showing on the field that you can do it. And if you do that, you're going to kind of have the pick of the litter and be able to be selective and add to your class and make a push for a top 10. I don't know if they can get close to top 5, but another really good chance to sign a top 10 class for Billy Napier and his coaching staff, and they're going to have to take care of business to do that.
Question on Facebook Live. Do the Gators have any reasonable chance of landing 5-star safety Braylon Womack?
Yeah, that's the guy I just mentioned. I think there's a good chance. I think that he's been considering Florida throughout the process. Now, again, there are several other teams who are making really, really good pitches, and there are some teams out there that, I'll be quite honest, from a monetary perspective, there are some teams that if they want them, Florida either is not able to match or is not willing to match. I know you agree with me, Shane, here, but I think it's ludicrous to be preparing, $750,000 NIL packages and rev share combination packages, whatever you want to call it, for 17-year-olds right now. Maybe I'm getting old, man, but I do think that is just a little bit high. I just think it's a little bit high, especially before you know how they're going to shake out, and especially, I don't want to say we should be binding them to contracts because we get into a slippery slope, and we could talk about this for, hours in a sense here, but especially, it's a huge risk if you're a team that is losing a ton of talent and you're going to have, double-digit guys go to the NFL draft and you're going to graduate a bunch of seniors. If you're investing that much money in a high school kid and you're losing a ton of money or a ton of players next year, that money is probably better suited to go to the transfer portal when it comes to being able to compete immediately in the next year and be able to avoid a drop-off. So, Florida's going to lose a ton of talent after this year. I mentioned all the offensive linemen coming back, the seniors throughout the roster, guys that if they have the seasons that they're hoping to have, they're going to be guys who are going to considering leaving early for the NFL draft. If you're a team like Florida, you're going to probably want to rely more on the portal next year than you did this year, where they only added, 7 guys from the portal, which is a very low number looking around the rest of the SEC. So I think, if a team comes in, say a Texas comes in and offers Braylon Womack, $800K, if you're Florida, I would probably walk away, and see what happens down the sense here. It sometimes pays to be second. Let a big fish pay him, develop him for the freshman year. If everything doesn't go well with that team, you get another crack at them. You saw Florida land multiple guys that they finished second for. Grayson Howard, DeAndre Robinson, Jameer Grimsley. Sometimes it pays to be second. So I would probably avoid paying a guy like that. But to answer the question, the Gators absolutely are in contention for him. They've done everything they can to emerge as a top team in his recruitment. They are a finalist. We'll know here in just about under a month now where he's headed and if he even is going to stick there given recruiting. So I think there's a good chance it would be a huge piece for Florida, but got to get the job done.
Last thing, Bobby on the Titan MR text line wants to know, Graham, are you allowed to tell us how you voted the top 5 in your SEC preseason media poll, and where did you have the Gators?
I had the Gators 6th. I had, off the top of my head, I think I had Georgia to win the SEC, Texas at number 2. I had LSU at number 3, Alabama at number 4. I did not have South Carolina at number 5. I believe I picked Ole Miss at number 5 off the top of my head. I think they're going to be better than people think. Still, I know they lost a ton of talent, but Suntarine Perkins, I think Austin Simmons is going to be fantastic this year. I think people are sleeping on Austin Simmons. When I was talking about quarterbacks that I think are being slept on, Austin Simmons, Marcel Reed, I think that they're going to be better than people think. I picked Florida to go 6, man. But with that said, like I said at the beginning, you can put stock in the media's opinion or not. I don't care. It doesn't bother me one way or the other. But I think the difference between 10th and 6th in the SEC is probably going to be one game.
Agree.
Right? So, but the narrative between those two of being 6th and 10th is vastly different. You're talking first half of the league, bottom half of the league. So it's really a crapshoot between 10th and 6th in my mind. I could easily see them finishing 10th if they lose a game that they shouldn't lose. If they can take care of business and beat some of these teams, beat Ole Miss on the road, maybe go into LSU and beat LSU, they have a chance to be a top 5 team in the league. Also, let me say this before I get out of here. There's different levels to finishing in the SEC. Go look at Missouri's schedule. And the easiest SEC schedule. If you were a Florida fan and you took Florida's roster and traded Florida's schedule with Missouri's schedule, I think a lot of us would be sitting here talking about the Gators going 10-2 this season. I really do. And if they end up losing just one SEC game, say they just lose to Alabama and Missouri finishes top 5 in the SEC, are you really going to sit here and say that they're a top 5 team in the league? I don't think so. There's just levels to the schedule. Florida could go 500 in league play and Missouri could go 6-2. And I would sit here and say that Florida's SEC finish was more impressive just given the caliber of opponent that the Gators had to play compared to the Tigers. So I picked them to finish 6th. I think that's going to be close to where they are. But if they're 10th, I wouldn't be surprised either. It's going to be absolutely a toss-up between those spots.
Good stuff. Let everybody know how they can follow you on Twitter, and y'all got any specials going on right now?
We're about to do our fall camp special. It's going to be one of the best specials we do. And then right before the season, I can't say what it is, we're going to have our best deal of the year right before the season starts around August 28th. So if you're not a member of Swamp 247, you want to get an annual subscription, you want to come bother me about my hair or hold me to the fire about my takes or ask me whatever it is, come join us over at Swamp 247. We got the largest message board community covering the Florida Gators. And we'll have to do this again pretty soon. I think there's going to be a lot to talk about here coming up. The off season's over. Talking season is coming to an end. We're still going to have to talk about it, but it's time for the real action to begin.
No doubt. Good stuff as always, buddy. Go hit them straight. Appreciate your time.
All right. Y'all take care out there.
That's Graham Hall, 24/7 Sports. Join us on the Titan More hotline, courtesy of Comfort Tent. Rose Oga State Farm Office, a team of dedicated insurance professionals ready to help life go right with the right insurance options for you and your family. Visit ogerinsurance.com. Give them a call at 352-240-1779. Appreciate everybody chiming in. We'll see you tomorrow. Take care.